Do you like fantasy football and sports betting? Come join us here at the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast, where hosts Matt, Shane, and Jason talk about fantasy players, lineups, and sports betting to help you compete and win championships. And of course, some extra cash. Let's jump right into the show.
Welcome back to another episode of the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast. Matt and Shane with you guys tonight. And if you can see on the screen, we do have a guest. We will introduce him in just a minute. Jason, our other host, unfortunately had some family stuff going on, so he could not make it for this episode. Shane, I'm glad to be back. I know you're glad to be back. How are you doing tonight, bud?
I am so glad to be back. And I'm doing pretty good, just dodging tornadoes and the Midwest stuff. And glad this summer is here, summer beers and the Royals. We are back. We suck again. So that is the major keys in this world.
Oh man, that is hilarious. We are dealing with some weather. We're actually supposed to be getting some pretty nasty weather tonight going into tomorrow. So I've got to stay on high alert for that. But nonetheless, guys, let us introduce our guest for tonight. It is Mr. Kyle Senra. Did I say your last name correct?
You did, Matt. Thank you.
Nice. Why don't you go ahead? I know Kyle does some writing for Fantasy Six Pack and has his own show. So Kyle, why don't you take it away and let everybody know where they can find you?
Yeah, you mentioned the two big things. Fantasy Six Pack writer. Recently, I've been writing the AFC South series. So I guess another unfortunate reason Jason's not on. I know the Texans. I wrote the Texans draft guide article as well as the Colts. I believe the Jaguars article is either out or coming out soon, and I've already submitted the Titans article. So the AFC South series. Thank you, Joe, for the opportunity to participate in that. And in season, I started with Fantasy Six Pack with my Goal Line Guide series, which is a series I've been doing for years on other sites. Now it's hosted Fantasy Six Pack. It's a weekly look at touchdown efficiency, both offensively and defensively. And I'm specifically looking inside the 5. Inside, when teams are inside their own 5-yard line defensively, or when the offense is 5 yards away from scoring a touchdown. We're just looking at efficiency in those key areas to try and predict touchdowns for weekly fantasy football matchups. So it's a cross-reference of stats of the offense versus the defense, and it's my contribution. I try to use it to predict weekly ceiling. I know best ball drafting is huge, where you don't have to worry about it. You get the high variance players, and they'll score those touchdowns wherever they find it. And I guess I like the challenge of lineup of trying to figure out those spots in those spike weeks. And podcasting wise, I have the Dynasty Six Pack show, which is here on the Fancy Six Pack Network. We go live every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. It's Dynasty Fantasy Football Talk. Right now, it's kind of the season for a lot of startups, so it's a lot of Dynasty startup draft strategy. So kind of right in line with a mock draft. We talked about auctions last week. We'll talk about best ball Dynasty drafts this week. So a lot of great stuff happening.
Yeah, also, if you are an anytime touchdown bettor, Kyle's guide is a godsend. So make sure you check that out in the season. I'm not telling you have to be a degenerate like me and create an 18-leg parlay, but I'm saying it's possible. And that I have hit one using the data. So thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, check it out. Check his stuff out. And Kyle, where can I find you on X? Is it at Senra Says?
It is. Thank you. Yes.
Awesome. Go check him out there, guys. And speaking of Fantasy Six Pack, guys, our podcast, we are partnered with them. We do a lot of stuff with them. Shane, myself, and Jason are really big into the NFL and college football betting series. So we're ramping up our summer research for things in this next upcoming year. Hopefully we can have as good, if not better, of a season as we did last year. We really killed it last year. But head on over to fantasy6pack.net. Become an all-access member today. Use promo code Parlay FF to get 15% off of your membership there. And like Shane said, guys, all the data, all the stuff that's out there on the website is absolutely fantastic. All the articles, Kyle's stuff, our betting sheets, it's all over there. And it also gives you access to the Discord channel. And there is so many people in there, so much information. Everybody talks. It is really an awesome tool to have. So go and become an all access member over at fantasy6pack.net. And also their YouTube channel, where we are currently streaming live, Fantasy Six Pack on YouTube. Click the subscribe, the follow button, guys. It is awesome. You'll get to see content like this, what we're about to do. Obviously, you can see we're about to do a mock draft. Kyle's podcast is on there. Our podcast is on there. Click that subscribe button and that notification bell so it will notify you when the episodes start going live. And Go ahead, Shane.
Joe, the boss man, said that we need to call out the fact that our draft cheat sheet is out. So I'm sorry to interrupt your flow there, Matt, but the boss man says, and we say the draft tool for Fantasy Six Pack is out. So go ahead and head on over there if you are getting ready for your drafts. Utilize it. Use our code. Get some money off. Get into the game.
For sure. Good call out there, Shane. And then on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, guys, if you just want to follow the audio side of the pod, look up the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast. That's where we are on the audio side. And this is the time, guys. This is the time where we're going to be pumping out some Dynasty Fantasy Football. We're going to be pumping out some mock drafts. We're going to have some guests on the show like we do tonight. And we're just going to start getting into some fantasy football as our summer research kicks off for the betting. Don't worry, that is coming back extremely soon. The summer time's already flying by, boys. It is already flying by. Training camps are getting ready to fire off. I'm excited. I'm excited for the season. But tonight, guys, what we are doing, we are going to do a 12-team start-up Dynasty half-point PPR mock draft. We do have some other Fantasy Six-Pack personnel in the mock draft with us tonight, which is really cool to see. So as you guys can see on the screen, I'm drafting from the 11 spot. I wanted to try a little bit different and draft from the back end of the draft. Kyle is at the 1-8. Shane is at the 5 spot. Mark is at the 4 spot. And Mason is at the 2 spot. Anything you guys want to go over before I fire this draft off?
No, I think we're good. Yeah.
All right. So let's start this draft up. Oh, I guess what I will say, it's 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 2 flex, and 6 bench spots for this specific draft. I know in Dynasty leagues, your bench is actually going to be a lot bigger, but for the sake of it not lasting 5 hours, we're just going to go with this tonight. So let's fire it off.
5 hours is conservative for a Dynasty draft, just saying.
It is. Okay, so Jamar Chase went at 101. Bijan Robinson at 102, taken by Mace. That's you guys like that? You guys like early running backs in a 3 wide out draft?
I'd say with the half PPR, it's the format to do it in.
Okay.
I would in a full PPR. That seems really scary, but in the half PPR format where running backs rule, I mean, there's 2 guys that really feel like they could push to the top 4, top 5 of the draft. So yeah.
Okay.
You don't take Bijan there, you're not going to get him at 211. So
no,
yeah, you're not getting another shot at him. So I feel like if you want to hang your hat on a quarterback here, a running back here, I think that you take your shot on one of the 2 that everybody has as the top.
Because you might not like who the best running back is at 211, and you might think that's not an area like 2-3 turn where you want to be drafting running back. So how far are you pushing it? So maybe making the decision right now to just get that spot out of the way.
Yeah, I do like that. Justin Jefferson went at 103. Mark is on the clock. I'm wondering if he's away from his computer or his phone at the very moment. I'll give him here a couple minutes, and then we will just have the computer auto pick for him.
I mean, I can go over some analysis since I'm up next. Not that I think Mark's going to take the guy I'm thinking here. Look, I think that Mason was on the right track here with how elite the top 2 running backs are. Some may say 3 or 4. But if you're wanting to build a, alpha RB, I think that's kind of the route you got to take. Is you have to take your shot on the one you want in the first round, and I may be looking down the barrel of making that decision shortly. So I sympathize, and I feel like it's one of the conundrums that that drafters have to make this year that like is uncomfortable because we are so used to just slamming wide receiver.
Right.
Especially early on in that first round.
Yeah.
You think back end of the first, you can kind of I can take a running back and know I'm still going to get one of the a receiver in a certain tier because you're so close. But yeah, it's a little scary to do because you might not like the wide receivers that are available at 211.
Yeah, the renaissance of the running back has been real too.
Yeah, that's no joke. I'm going to go ahead and let the computer pick here for Mark. Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh,
Jahmyr Gibbs.
The 1-2 says glad to see Kyle in a 0.5 point PPR draft. So
pretty sure this is Raul, my co-host on the Dynasty Six Pack, who loves to talk about how half PPR is his favorite format to play in Dynasty, not just in redraft. So I was thinking of Raul when I saw that. Oh, it was half PPR. Interesting. He's gonna like this.
All right, there, Shane. So you are on the clock, Mark. Hopefully he gets back to his phone or computer here soon. But he ended up taking Jahmyr Gibbs at the 104. Shane, you're up.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that was my pick.
Was it really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you was talking about the running back guy.
Yeah, that was where I was going. So now I'm kind of brain stumped. Give me 1 second while I recalibrate and I figure out what I want to do.
Are you on tilt?
No, not on the first pick I have. There's just too many options. That's the real problem. It's not tilt. It's just all of the choices that I get to make. And I'm going to choose CeeDee Lamb.
There you go. Okay.
The alpha in the room that everybody just kind of forgets is there.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick. Especially in my eyes, I look at the three wide receiver format. And I know getting that elite running back early is very, very tempting, but that's a great pick for your wide receiver one, Shane. Great pick. Brock Bowers went next. Then Malik Neighbors at the 107. Kyle, you're on the clock at the 108.
Yeah, I was almost maybe hoping to get CeeDee Lamb because I think even in a half PPR format, his yardage is so great that in this format, I think I might still take Lamb ahead of the running backs. So it feels like that's a bit of a value there. It feels like just in general, Lamb is being a bit devalued last year how last year was a bit subpar. Yeah, so maybe it's a good dynasty buy option, not necessarily a buy low. Because when players of that caliber seem to dip in value, it's not that their price goes down on the dynasty market. It's just that those managers suddenly become willing to trade them. Last year, whoever had CeeDee Lamb was just unwilling to trade them whatsoever.
Right.
After he finished the wide receiver one, you have to pay full price to get him, but this might be the time to get him. And if he returns and has another wide receiver one season, you'll probably never get him again until he's unproductive. So
the buying window, the buying window is open.
Yeah, just being available is you're not getting any reduced price with him. I think it's just back to the idea of what the format is, though. I think that top tier of receivers I like, specifically Chase, Jefferson, and Lamb, the three guys we've seen finish as the wide receiver one overall each of the past 3 seasons. So it feels like that tier of those three, they're young enough that they could do it again. We've also seen them do it, where there's a lot of other younger receivers that could have a wide receiver one overall season in them, but we haven't seen them do it. So those three, I think, are still converging at a really good spot. I think Neighbors, based on his target share from last year, might be the likeliest to join that group. But at the same time, this does feel like a good spot to take a running back. And the top 2 are gone. Is the third guy. I think I'm going to take a risk on someone who hasn't seen the NFL yet. He's just about to in a couple months, but I'll go with the rookie Ashton Jeanty.
Dang, I was hoping he would fall to me at the 111. I like it, though. I like it. You know, you get the youth. You get what I think presumably most analysts are, calling for: 1, a workhorse back; 2, a superstar in the NFL. Again, it's unproven just yet. He has not taken a snap in the NFL, but the talent is there. You just see the elite caliber player in Ashton Jeanty. And I do foresee him creeping up in drafts as training camp gets near and near, and after training camp, depending on where you're drafting, I do see him starting to sneak up in drafts. No, I like that pick, Kyle.
I think 108's just late enough that you're confident enough with who's going to be there in the second round at 205.
Right.
Any bit earlier than that, it's uncomfortable. Like I probably would have gone Neighbors ahead of him one spot earlier. I think my original draft slot was the 107 for luck, but then enough people went to the front of the draft. I thought, okay, let's even out the auto drafts a little bit. I'll take the 108.
Yeah, I like that. I do.
Yeah,
like that.
I will say I think that Jeanty could go in that 1-7 slot. I think that all three of those, it kind of becomes a choose your flavor type situation there.
Well, especially with Bowers, Jeanty, like two guys on the same team. Do you want the tight end or the running back?
Yeah, and Pete Carroll. There's an interesting thing there about how he's never had a high producing tight end that's getting a lot of tea this offseason. And I think Bowers is built different. I think that you need to kind of a trend is a trend until it isn't a trend. So somebody has to break the trend line, and I think that Bowers is the type of athlete and the type of tight end that can.
I'm trying to think who they even had tight end who won the Super Bowl.
Jimmy Graham.
Not when they won the Super Bowl though, like that. Like Super Bowl because he was still in New Orleans. I'm thinking it's Canadian Luke Wilson, but I don't know if like there was a better tight end. Maybe not, and maybe that's the problem. Like he's probably never had anyone close to Bowers' talent. Again, Jimmy Graham is probably the closest.
And that was old Jimmy Graham. That wasn't even like young Jimmy Graham.
Well, I'm
thinking Disley, Wilson, Noah Fant.
Yeah,
but Noah Fant's been the guy that everybody hoped would be an excellent elite athletic tight end, and he's just never been that guy. I think that maybe it's just that Carroll's never had a good tight end.
And you think of those teams like Doug Baldwin was just a huge targeter, and like I like Jacoby Myers, but he's not that, and Bowers really is that. So it's going to be like at a certain point, it's the quarterback that's going to decide that. Like Geno Smith isn't not going to target Brock Bowers. He's going to say like how useful he is. Like Carroll could only do so much. Like at a certain point, the quarterback's the one distributing targets.
Yeah. You guys hit it all on the head. You hit the nail on the head right there. So that's all good speak there. Amon St. Brown went after Kyle took Ashton Jeanty. Then Josh Allen, quarterback off the board at the 110 spot. I went ahead and drafted Puka Nacua at the 111. We know the kind of talent that Puka Nacua brings to the table. Shane knows from the past, I've never really been a big Puka Nacua fan, but it's hard to argue the workhorse. It's hard to argue the targets. Matthew Stafford and him have built a very, very lovely rapport. I'm not afraid of Devonte Adams coming in this year and taking stuff from Puka. Devonte Adams is a little bit older, obviously. Puka's still going to get his, and Shane kind of turned me into a believer. The injuries last year kind of scared me a little bit, but it's hard to argue he is still a youngish wide receiver. He's going to get his targets, and I think he brings a lot of value to Dynasty. And at 111, I'm perfectly fine taking him there. Saquon Barkley off the board at 112. Then on the turn at the 201, Nico Collins off the board. And I'm going to take a pick here, guys, on a wide receiver. Again, I'm going to go wide receiver. I'm going to take Brian Thomas Jr. I'm going to take Brian Thomas Jr., the youth, the athleticism, again, workhorse guy. And he's a big guy. Like I think he's going to take a step up this year. So I'm going to roll the dice at wide receiver, and forego running back. Take Puka and Brian Thomas Jr. as my wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2.
I dislike that. I dislike it because I was hoping that Brian Thomas was going to fall. I knew it was unlikely. But
I wasn't even banking on him getting to me.
Yeah. Without a doubt. I think that was the best pick possible, and I think that you're pairing two fantastic young wide receivers that we've seen do it.
Yeah,
I think whatever it ended up being, whether it was Collins or Thomas, I think as soon as like Barkley goes, it kind of guarantees you get one of those two to pair with Nacua. I love that start.
Yeah. Drake London at the 203, then Lamar Jackson, number 2 quarterback off the board at 204. Kyle, you are back on the clock. Ashton Jeanty on your roster.
Yeah, there's there's two really interesting things I'm thinking of. And I guess the idea of with Jeanty, you're already kind of pushing on win now, right? You're not going to take a running back in the first round and then start rebuild thinking like you really are thinking like points now. And there's one wide receiver that I think he's a little older. He might be too early to go here, but I also think he's probably going to outproduce everyone else available. So from a dynasty perspective on a win now team, I think I'd rank him the highest. Could also play to the format and make a really interesting start. I kind of want to, you know what? I am going to do that. I'm going to go with Devon Achane. I'm going to go with my RB3 and RB4 in dynasty, and I'm going to try and corner the market at that high end. These are two young running backs still on their rookie contracts, but I think can produce as RB1s. So there's a bit of a wild upside with Jeanty, at least with Achane, someone I know who's done it before. So
I like it. Going RB or high T to start off. I like that.
Play to the format, right? Half PPR. It's going to be dominated by that position. I have a chance to get two guys that are I would consider second tier running backs. I think Robinson and Gibbs kind of in a tier of their own, but I'll take the risky start here.
Like it. Okay, so after Kyle took Devon Achane, Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow, back-to-back quarterbacks off the board. Shane, you are back on the clock, my friend.
Yeah, I am. I'm here. And I'm on tilt already. Let's be honest. Well, I think I'm kind of bagging myself into the corner here because I'm planning about 3 steps too many ahead. So I'm going to take the guy who was supposed to be the can't miss prospect last year, and I'm going to go ahead and add him to my team and not overthink this situation.
I like it.
I think that the talent that we've seen Marvin, Jr. put out there is, what we hope that we can. Well, I'm trying to think about how to say this the most eloquent way possible. Basically, I think that Harrison's best football is ahead of him, not behind him. And I think that anybody that says otherwise is not watching what we saw last year, which was the devolution of Arizona football, because it was an absolute mess in the second half of the season. And he was a rookie last year. Like, he just was slow to the uptake. It's a weird offense. He got stuck out playing the freaking corner post, run a deep route, and hope that Kyler Murray can see over the lineman long enough. I hope that maybe he gets a little better developed route tree this year.
And he put on 20 pounds of muscle. Have you seen him? Dude looks jacked. Looks jacked. Okay, Mark must be back in the draft, boys, because he took Ladd McConkey at the 209. Then another onesie position, Trey McBride off the board 210. Him falling that far is pretty good.
Jefferson, McBride, there's a reasonable outcome. They both finished top at their positions.
100%.
Same time. So
yeah, 100%. And then Mason took AJ Brown off the board at the 211. Amarion Hampton 212 off the board. Then on the flip, Jalen Hurts off the board at the 301. Then Mason turned around and took Christian McCaffrey at the 302. Bucky Irving off at the 303, and Mark is back on the clock. What do you guys think about that line of picks right there?
That is some cojones from Mason drafting CMC there.
Well, it's funny, and I kind of revealed it, right? The win now wide receiver I was considering was AJ Brown. So
I think that what you were talking about, and both of you guys' builds look like how I would want to go into a dynasty and try to win it.
I mean, in theory, he's almost got the better win now build, right? Like, I think we've more confidence in Bijan having done it over Jeanty, and then as much as I like Achane, if McCaffrey's healthy, that's probably going to score more points. So
yeah, healthy McCaffrey is that's unreal.
But I mean, so is a healthy McCaffrey. That seems pretty unreal at this point to me.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, double-edged sword. Fair enough. Okay, so let's just keep moving on here, boys. Mark turned around and took JSN. Shane, you were on the clock. What do you guys think of JSN this year? Like, honest opinions. I've heard some mixed bag feelings about him.
I guess we don't really know his role yet in terms of where he's going to line up more. Is he more on the outside, more in the slot? based on the moves they've made, I would guess he's going to be more on the outside. And while I know he's kind of talked about that was something he didn't like with Shane Walsh and how he only played this in the slot, like low depth of target. He really like vocally disliked his role there, and they sort of started to expand his role last year. But I don't know if a lot of it did come in the slot, yards after catch. It was not quite line of scrimmage depth of targets, but it was still pretty low depth of targets. And so I guess he got, if he goes further down the field, is he going to have success? And I am a little concerned with Sam Darnold. One season with the Vikings is great, but his career average has been pretty awful. So he's
okay.
He's pretty bad everywhere else he's been. So how much does how much percent of what he did last year is repeatable, I guess, for Darnold. So
right.
I don't hate it here. I was almost thinking I might draft him, to be honest. But there is one wide receiver I do have ranked higher in my dynasty rankings right now, and it's maybe my bias and love for Justin Fields gives me full confidence going with Garrett Wilson here. I've got to go with my wide receiver one. I think he's gonna get a ton of targets from Fields in terms of certainly the percentage for the team, but I think the overall volume will be there good enough. We've seen DJ Moore have a really good season. I believe DJ Moore's wide receiver one season came with like 130 targets, whereas Garrett Wilson's been closer to 150, 160. So can Fields maintain what Wilson has been up to this point is really the question. That extra, or is he going to reduce by 20 targets what he's normally? Maybe if so, maybe he doesn't quite live up to being a good wide receiver one for me. But I feel like I've got a guy that can produce now, but will still have a lot of years ahead of him. And who knows, maybe there's eventually a better quarterback upgrade. But I think without the drama of Rodgers, this might actually be a better situation for Wilson.
Right. Okay, so you can see on the board, Kyle took Garrett Wilson. Prior to Kyle, 3 running backs off the board. Shane took one of them. Breece Hall.
Yeah, I snuck Breece in there. He is the ultimate, I think, dice risk running back, especially because every other year, if you were looking at Breece Hall on this list, he would be going in Marvin Harrison's spot or higher. And so I think at this point, this is a dice roll in the situation that he reverts to the mean. And I know that Fields is there, and I know that Fields is not your stereotypical like dump to the running back, and he's going to be a much more creative runner. But also, I think people don't understand that I think Justin Fields may actually be a good quarterback. And I've been standing this for a while. I think Justin Fields may actually be a good quarterback. And I think Breece Hall may get the benefit of the doubt here. Or maybe should be getting the benefit of the doubt here in what could probably be a better offense this year than what they had last year.
Okay. All right, so Kyle took Garrett Wilson, then Sam Laporta off the board, then Ted McMillan off the board at 310. All right. Now I'm on the clock. I'm looking at players here. There are still actually a couple running backs that I'm perfectly fine with, and I think there's a couple that might fall to me even in the next round. So boys, I'm going to stick with my zero RB strategy here, and I'm going to take another wide receiver, and it's a receiver that he's a little bit down the board, but I think he's a stand-in wide receiver that's guaranteed targets. And that's Rashee Rice. Give me Rashee Rice at the 311. As my wide receiver 3, it's a receiver that I think is, no matter what, is going to get targets when he's out on the field. You could see the rapport that Pat Mahomes and him had. I think that continues. And Rashee Rice is just such a talented player. He's a bull-nosed wide receiver. I think he pairs very well with my 2 kind of other alpha receivers. So Rashee Rice is my pick for my 3rd wide receiver. Travis Hunter at the 312. I was looking at that, and then I was like, oh, wait, I already have BTJ. I can't take Travis Hunter. Then T. Higgins off the board. So Team 12 did not take a running back. So now that puts me in a little bit of conundrum because there is a receiver that I really like that I know for a fact will not get back to me. Looking at the running backs. Yeah, I'll take one. And it's a running back that I think people are still continuing to sleep on. As my RB1, I'm not in love with it, but it's a running back that is going to get, in my opinion, multiple touchdowns. And that's what I'm looking for in fantasy. I know he's a little bit on the older side, but you almost can lock in that he's going to get 10 touchdowns. You almost can lock that in that he's going to get double-digit touchdowns. So give me Josh Jacobs there as my RB1. And then Travion Henderson went at the 403, then James Cook at the 404. Kyle, you're back on the clock.
Yeah, and kind of looking through here, I mean, only having one receiver in Dynasty this far in, like how far back does that put me? And there's a lot of teams that only have one wide receiver. So
yep,
I almost think I can get a bit of an edge taking this guy's maybe the start of a new tier, but he's the highest in my rankings, and it looks like he's pretty high up in ADP. So I don't think I'm going to get another shot at him. Maybe again, I'll go Devonte Smith. I
love it.
Like that Eagles offense. I think he and Wilson could be a good duo. Might not have a true week in, week out wide receiver one, but maybe through their combined production week in, week out, I can make do.
I actually love that, Kyle. It was either Rashee Rice or Devonta Smith for me. Yeah, when I went wide receiver right there. Yeah, I love that pick. Okay, so Kyle took Devonta Smith and Chase Brown off the board. Like, I really do like that. Derrick Henry at the 407. Shane, you're back up.
And I'm on tilt again, Matt.
Tilt again.
I got sniped. I had Derrick Henry like loaded in my queue, ready to go. And I was ready to talk about how Derrick Henry is going to continue to defy age and how I just flipped this win later to win now. But I can't do that now because the AI decided that it wanted to ruin my plan. So instead, we're going to flip the script here, and we're going to go with Scary Terry. He was the other player I was looking at on the board. I think that, he's getting a little age on him. He's 29 now. We know age is a big number when it comes to fantasy football. But I think that the repertoire we saw between Scary and Jaden Daniels is something that will be around as long as both players are on the same roster. And I think that's something you should be able to bank on. I think it's something that, you're going to have some spike weeks, but having him as my wide receiver 3, I feel comfortable with the spike weeks in that situation. So,
yeah, I like that, Shane. I like Scary Terry this year, but him and Jaden are monster and monster. Okay, so that puts Mark.
I don't think Debo stopped Terry from just maintaining his target share that he's had these years. Like, Debo's going to impact what the rest of the team looks like. He's probably going to impact Zach Ertz, if anyone, but whatever McLaurin's role was, I was looking at target share data, and entering the season, his career average target share, if you took all of his seasons and just took a flat average of those, I think 5 or 6 seasons, it was like 23.5%, 23.4, something like that. And last year he got basically right there, 23.3, 23.4%. So Daniels didn't necessarily target him any more than he had already was being targeted. Just the quality went up. So it feels like it's totally repeatable what McLaurin just did last year.
Right. Yeah, I do. It's good analysis. That is good analysis.
Also, it's not going to be Zach Ertz. It's going to be Ben Sinnott this year.
Give me the Sinnott, baby.
Please.
Give me the Sinnott. Okay, so then Mark took Tyler Warren, so rookie tight end off the board. First rookie tight end off the board. Xavier Worthy at the 410. Mason turned around and took Chris Olave at the 411. Then Quinshon Judkins at the 412. And then on the swing, team 1 took Rome Odunze as his wide receiver 2. Then Mason took his teammate DJ Moore at the 502. Patrick Mahomes off the board at the 503. Mark is back on the clock. What do you think of that run?
I really like the Tyler Warren pick. I was contemplating him at my pick, so I think that, some little self-indication that he was picked directly after my pick. But I think Warren in Indy makes a lot of sense, and I think that he's going to be a target hog there. I think that Worthy and Patty, that stack is very interesting in Dynasty. And also, I'm a little worried about Worthy's role in the Kansas City offense this year. And, I am your resident Kansas City stan. So let me just say, I think Worthy is incredibly talented, but I'm very worried about this offensive plan as long as we don't change our offensive coordinator. So it is what it is, but I don't think I can complain any about it. And I like the other 4 picks that were made. So
you can't be naggy about it.
The pun was there, and I just I've used similar ones so much that it just nags.
So I was allowed to. I haven't reused it.
Yeah. It just nags at me, and I just can't quite. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of Warren on the Dynasty Six Pack with my co-host JB Pro. He was even before the draft talking about the prospect that Warren is. He's already a top 3, top 4 tight end in Dynasty. So I don't know that the Colts landing spot is the best because of the QB situations, but I think this is probably the range where he's going to go. As you said, you were considering it.
Well, while Mark makes his selection here, boys, I'm going to pull up a comment by Liam Schuster. Should I send Burton and Waddle for Ted McMillan?
Yes.
I am a fan of that. I am a fan of that.
I want to know more about the format. Like, is this how many starters? Is this a full PPR league as well? Because ideally, if there's enough starters, you might not want to. Right? If it's a start 12, start 13 type of league where you might be starting 5, 6, 7 wide receivers each week, having the 2 is probably better. But if it's shallow enough formats, you do want to upgrade. If you believe in Tedero and McMillan, then you're not. If let's say only Waddle's one of your starters, right? Like there wouldn't be enough room to put Burden as a starter right now, then maybe it makes sense to upgrade one starting spot if you're only losing one starter. I suppose I guess that's the question. Would you be counting on Burden in your starting lineup? If so, I guess who replaces Burden in the lineup by making the 2 for 1? So I guess those are like the little bits of hesitation. But I definitely agree to if you're not giving up anything else, you're not giving up future draft capital.
Right.
You're not weakening any other positions. If it's just a straight upgrade from Waddle to McMillan's production, and Waddle's no scrub. I know he's got a down year. I think he's a bit of an underrated asset. This may not be the best time to sell Waddle, but if McMillan explodes right off the bat as a rookie, then this is cheaper than what you'll be able to get him for in season. So there's risk on either side.
Right.
You truly believe in McMillan, you think he's the next elite receiver, get it now at the floor price because there's nowhere to go but up.
Right. I wonder if Mark stepped away from his computer again.
I do see the green dot off on Sleeper.
Okay.
He's no longer a middle linebacker.
Right. Well, for the sake of just moving this thing along, it doesn't last a long time. I'm gonna go ahead and let the computer pick him. Zay Flowers is who the computer took for him. I actually don't mind that.
I think he'll be happy with that pick. Let's see here. I have had so much time to contemplate that I have
too much time, huh?
Twisted myself into a pretzel, and I am I'm full mega brain YOLOing into Kenneth Walker.
Oh, okay.
I am concerned about his injury history. Yes. But if you want to talk about a guy who, without a doubt, maybe one of the most explosive young athletes that is in the NFL, he should be up there. And shoot, what else are they going to do? They have Sam Darnold at quarterback. I don't trust it.
I don't trust it.
So if Kenneth Walker can stay healthy, he puts together a year, this will look like I'm a genius. And if not, then I have an okay RB2 because, I mean, that's what I drafted him as. Right. And I like him. I have a whole lot more confidence in him than any other running back that was on the board aside from, like, some guys that are further down the draft board that I will not name. But I think that there's a slight tier break coming up, and it just kind of depends on where you want to cut the tier.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Team 6 does not have a receiver yet. They have 3 running backs, and Team 7 has 3 running backs and 1 receiver. So RJ Harvey and Caleb Johnson off the board after Shane took Kenneth Walker. Kyle, that puts you back up on the clock.
I don't think the tier just slammed right in my face because I was kind of earmarking to get one of those 3 running backs as it was getting closer. Really hoping to get RJ Harvey to just double rookie running back between Jeanty and Harvey and just stick with that youth. So I would have even settled for Caleb Johnson as a 3rd rounder. Yep, just slammed in my face. But I also think there's about to be a tier break at receiver. I think this is another guy that's perennially undervalued. I mean, he was great as a rookie, great as a second-year player. Yeah, the touchdown rate seems like it's higher than it should be, but he gets enough yards as well to justify thinking that maybe he is just this good. I mean, he looked good with Sam Darnold last year, right? And so I like getting Jordan Addison as a 3rd receiver. I like a similar archetype to Devonte Smith as a wide receiver 2 on his own team, but so much of the offense is concentrated on those top 2 wide receivers that the second guy still feels like he's very productive. And if you believe in JJ McCarthy, you feel like it's going to be an upgrade over Darnold. So maybe even if year 1 starting McCarthy isn't necessarily an upgrade on year 5 Sam Darnold, eventually that's going to get to be better. But I like Darnold there, and I'll take the 3rd receiver. And I kind of think it's a tier break after him. So 1 tier break shuts in my face at running back. Well, I'll close it behind the teams behind me at this wide receiver. And I guess that gives me my 3rd guy. I wasn't sure going RB early if I'd get, who would I be really satisfied with my top 3 receivers? And I actually am. All good young players, but I think they can all be really productive.
Yeah, I like that. I actually really like Jordan Addison this year as well, Kyle. I think there's not enough buzz about him currently. I know I have actually seen some of the talk slightly ramp up on him, but he's not getting the love he deserves. I actually really enjoy Jordan Addison. I have him in 1 dynasty league, and I have him in 2 other keeper leagues that I'm in, and he will remain on my team. So,
boys, former Biletnikoff winner. He won it for a reason.
Yeah, 100%. Tyreek Hill finally off the board at 509. Then Emeka Egbuka went at 510. Looking at the board here, like I'm half contemplating taking George Kittle. That's like the last tight end on the board that I'm, confident in, you could say. He's just another one of those onesies. He is a little bit older. I know it's dynasty and it's half point PPR, but I'm going to roll the dice and just get my tight end right now with George Kittle and lock that position up. Like you guys said, there was a tier break in my opinion, at running back, and there is a tier break at wide receiver. So I'm okay with rolling the dice here. Joe Mixon and Chuba Hubbard back to back. I was actually really hoping Chuba Hubbard would fall to me, but he did not. So that's fan-freaking-tastic. I'm back on the clock. Looking at running backs, it's sure you could roll the dice with the ageless wonder, Alvin Kamara. David Montgomery, he's going to fall in the end zone. I still only have 1 running back, but there's some down that I'm willing to take. I'm actually going to go back to wide receiver here, boys. I'm going to take DK Metcalf as my wide receiver 4. I know Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback there, but I mean, come on, guys. DK Metcalf is a physical specimen. George Pickens is no longer on that roster. DK should see a crap ton of targets by Aaron Rodgers, regardless of what people say about Aaron Rodgers. He's going to throw the ball to DK Metcalf, and I feel like he's going to throw it to him a lot. So I'll take a wide receiver 4.
Before I pick here, do you want to answer Easy B's question?
Oh, what is it? I didn't even see it.
Yeah, it looks like I can pull it up right here. I think I've got powers. Ooh.
There you go. Dynasty Superflex 12-man. I was offered Jalen Hurts for Mahomes and Brian Robinson.
He also followed up with this. Sorry, I was reading Mason's comment to it, and I liked how Mason is dressed. That part of it. Mason said, "Don't do it." I also lean towards "don't do it." I like B-Rob this year. I think that the gap between Mahomes and Hurts long term is questionable, in my opinion. But I do get Easy B's thesis here. He says that he has a wide receiver room that's pretty young. And so I don't hate the thought process.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Shane. I lean towards no, but the thought process behind it is valid. What do you think, Kyle?
Well, it's funny because Hurts is the younger QB, but he also feels like he's the better win now QB. But it also wonders, like, is his ceiling is there a time cap on that? Like, is his ceiling going to be lasting as long as, say, Mahomes, who could rebound back and have other QB1 seasons down the line? So I get what you're saying, like the longer term value, even though it's funny you're talking about the side with the running back being the longer term value, but that's who Mahomes is. Like he's going to be probably a top 6, top 7 quarterback until he retires. Kind of every year he's probably going to finish around there at the very worst. So, man, I love trading for Hurts, and I feel like the last couple of years that's all I've been telling people to do. Because ever since Jason Kelce retired, there was panic of they won't have any rushing touchdowns anymore because Jason Kelce retired. This small, undersized center whose best ability was always like, man, how quickly he can get out into space. Like that's what we're worried about, not being able to score rushing touchdowns. I always thought that was a little comical, actually, how like people thought there was going to be like that much of an effect on it. And it's the brotherly push or the tush shove, whatever it's called. It's still legal, so they can still do it. But I also think even if that gets banned, like Jalen Hurts can't do a traditional QB sneak. Like we really think he's incapable of that. So
the man squats 700 pounds. I think he's fine.
Yeah,
I just think he is gonna have this just like really a weekly ceiling that's probably matched only by Josh Allen because he's maybe got more reliable passing volume and he still has that same type of rushing upside with the multiple touchdowns per game.
Yeah.
I mean, if Brian Robinson's not really seeing your lineup, this is back to I think a trade we talked about earlier. If you're just upgrading Mahomes to Hurts' points, it gets kind of like the Waddle McMillan thing, right? If the third piece is just really a backup, your points will increase. Like Hurts to going from Hurts or getting Hurts from Mahomes, but
right. Okay.
Yeah, I can see why Easy B is considered.
Right,
and B-Rob doesn't get the sexy name hype on trading with your your league mates who check once a month during the off season. So
right. Okay, so I took DK Metcalf at the 602, Mike Evans 603, Matthew Golden off the board at 604. Kyle, you're back on the clock.
Yeah, a lot of potential options here. The one thing, I think the one thing I really like doing is going back to the thought of trying to push it all win now, and the way running backs just seem to keep flying off boards in certain sections. There's one running back that kind of sticks out to me as a true potential difference maker. Could be another RB1 season, and half PPR he gets hurt a little bit because he does catch so many passes, but he also is a massive touchdown producer in his heyday. So I'm gonna just take a shot on Alvin Kamara, third RB on the team. I think I can afford to take the older guy now, especially with two younger running backs I went so early.
Yeah, I really do like that. I was contemplating Alvin Kamara there at my pick at 602. I just couldn't pass up my boy DK. So TJ Hawkinson at 606, Jameson Williams off the board at 607. That's a sneaky, fantastic pick in the 6th round. I think Jameson Williams.
I might have gone him over Metcalf, to be honest.
Yeah, looking back at it now, I'm like, shoot, what the heck was I thinking? Maybe I'm
a Packers fan, and I 100% like taking JMO over Matthew Golden. That's not even close.
Yeah.
The Golden pick is weird, but I will say the Jameson
weird for the Packers pick, or weird for Dynasty at 5 of the 6 or both.
Maybe all of the above. Although the Packers have this weird infatuation where they draft the most athletic guy possible, and that's just that's what they do.
Gutekunst, that's total Gutekunst thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is, I mean, it's a cool thing to be able to do. Hey, do we just want the guy that broke our RAS score? Which is totally how I would draft if I was an NFL GM. So I support it.
Hey, he's giving you a chance to get a GM job, Shane. Let's go, Brian Gutekunst.
Yeah, hit my line, Packers fan, or hit my lines, Packers.
Let's mean you want the Packers to win a Super Bowl? So that's like the copycat league of the NFL. We'll go for RAS scores after.
That would be cool. I would love for the Chiefs to draft with Raz score in mind sometimes. We constantly draft tall, slow guys, and I'm like, why are we? There's a better prospect in there. I guarantee it. Speaking of better prospects, I can't think of one that's better than Justin Herbert. So I will snag him. I know that a lot of QBs have gone off the board, and this probably feels slightly like a reach. But I really like Herbie. I think that the way that the offense is built, he is been completely given the reins, and I don't know how we can't just beep, get in the car and ride Herbie all the way to a championship.
Shane, I cannot believe that you took him. I was for sure he was going to fall to me next round.
The way he finished the season last year, I don't know. I don't know if anybody should let him fall out of the 6th round.
My love infatuation with Justin Herbert is
also
unmatched.
I couldn't take Pickens because I already had CeeDee. That was my I wanted JMO because I already had.
I wondered that.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: if you were to have taken Pickens there and not take a quarterback, the next best thing is to just take Dak in the very next round.
Yeah, and I thought about that too, and I was like, I'm not building a best ball lineup right now, Shane. You're not stacking.
Okay, so Shane took Justin Herbert. Then Mark went around and took CJ Stroud at the 609. Like that pick. Team 3 took George Pickens off the board. Mason is back on the clock at the 611. Oh man, yeah, I might be on tilt. Caleb Williams at the 611 by Mason. Then David Montgomery at the 612, and then Travis Etienne. Team 1, you got yourself a lineup there with 4 RBs at the 701. Then Mason took Jaden Reed at the 702. Then Luther Burden at the 703 off the board. Mark is back on the clock. What do you think of that run there, boys?
I hate Travis Etienne with the fiery burning passion.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I'm right about that in the Jags article, actually. This does look like it could be a true 3-way split committee. Like this could be the backfield committee we most want to avoid, where there's the least amount of clarity.
Also, I say this from the deepest part of my soul. F the Jaguars for taking Bashaw Hooten like 4 picks before the Chiefs. Just going to say that out loud because it needed to be said. Like, the ultimate landing spot in my brain for him was to have him land in KC, and the Jags were like, we're just going to add to this crazy, weird depth chart that we have. Yeah, and I mean, Jaden Reed, great player. I wish he could catch a football.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kyle, I had to say
I just wish, well, I mean,
he's an athletic
freak. Feels like again, that's exactly it. Gutekunst isn't really looking at hands technique with his receivers, since it seems like all of them really struggle to catch. In fact, if anything, Reed is better ones on that team.
That's true.
I just wish Jordan Love would target him more, and then Lord play him on the field more. But why can Dontavian Wicks randomly get a 12-13 target game and Reed can't even get to double digits ever?
It's very sporadic. It feels sporadic.
Like there's I know that he had the meeting with the GM, and I really felt that because LaFleur wasn't involved. I really felt that was more contract talk than anything in terms of role on the team. But at a certain point, it's up to Jordan Love to just target him more. There's nothing that LaFleur could even do to make that happen better. Just play Reed on the field more. But yeah, feels like, come on, Jordan Love, make some better decisions. And I hate the golden pick, if I could rant on that, because if they had drafted Luther Burden instead, they probably think of Burden as their slot receiver, and they would put Jaden Reed on the outside. Maybe allows him to play more snaps, but also allows him to catch the ball downfield, and instead of just always being short and underneath and always after the catch. So by taking Golden, it signals that we continue to want to use Reed that way, because Golden will be our outside field stretcher. So I hate it for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah. Trey Harris off the board.
Yeah, Mark, I'm so mad at you. We were talking about not doing a whole stack thing, but I totally was going to stack Trey Harris, Justin Herbert there, and you ruined it. So I'm sad. Instead, I'll take my boy Isiah Pacheco. I think that his injury last year was unfortunate, came back somehow and still played, which shows some incredible athletic ability. I think that, basically a full year removed from said injury, we'll get something closer to what we expected to see from Isiah Pacheco. And I think that the Chiefs have to do something different on offense. Using Pacheco, using, the new toy Elijah Mitchell, using some Rashard Smith. Yeah, Pacheco's going to probably be bounced around and not on the field all the time, but I think the touches he's going to get and his explosiveness is pretty impressive.
Right.
What's going to be a team that's going to be competitive in every game?
Pretty sure right after Kamara in my running back rankings that my last pick was Pacheco. And, it's funny how people kind of like are, oh man, what happened last year? How did he disappear? Like they didn't see that he wasn't there for most of the year because he broke his leg, and then he came back from a broken leg like 3 months later, and he didn't look good. We should expect that, to be honest. I think the struggles at the end of the year, I think, are just tied to the fact that he came back early enough, or I guess late enough where he didn't get re-injured, but he wasn't going to have all that muscle lost from the immobility of the leg. I remember when I broke my leg, it took me a while to just even. I remember I got my I was in cast for like 13 weeks skiing it. Accident. We'll say accident to make it more dramatic. It wasn't really that dramatic. But March break, and then maybe 2 months later, 3 months later, we're doing the high jump thing in gym class, and I still couldn't even jump past the first bar. This is like 2 months later. Now again, 12-year-old kid, not professional athlete, but just how long it's going to take for him to get back to peak form. I expect by the start of this year, no effects from that leg injury whatsoever, and he's going to be back to being the guy. I guess what's your read? Like, do you think Rashard Smith is really a threat to Pacheco for touches at all? I suppose Kareem Hunt probably is the bigger threat, but
I don't actually think Kareem's going to be that big of a threat. I think Kareem takes a back seat. The threat I see is Elijah Mitchell.
Okay, fair enough.
That's the actual. I think that Kareem showed us who he is. Like, I know that he's someone we can trust, but he seems like that guy on the roster you keep because you trust him, not because you expect him to win you football games. And I think that Pacheco, he added 20 pounds this offseason already, like a pure muscle. He talked about how he got back in the weight room this offseason with an intent to get back to running the football the way he ran the football the year prior. And so, like, that screams to me like, feed the man, let him eat, let him run through the whole stadium and, like, Kool-Aid man himself into the end zone.
That's right.
I know. I think earlier in the chat, Mason made a hashtag win now pick. And I guess maybe, some of my like mid receiver picks, Wilson, Smith, Addison, they weren't necessarily, redraft league. There might've been better options. I feel like I'm at this point now that I'll be taking my wide receiver 4. I can kind of betray my dynasty rankings to really just push the win now build after taking Kamara. And I kind of want to take Devonte Adams right here.
Oh yeah, it's a great pick.
Now in my dynasty rankings, the next receiver up was Jerry Jeudy, and that would have been the guy I was thinking of otherwise. But I just feel like if I didn't already have 3 receivers, let's say I went running back the last 2 picks, I didn't get Addison. Maybe I want Jerry Jeudy with that third guy to, 3 long-term wide receivers, but going to Addison a couple rounds ago kind of gives me this luxury. So while I was a little disappointed to not get a running back there, I'm happy about it now because it kind of frees me up to take Adams and take kind of what I view as a luxury pick. I mean, I think Matt, you mentioned Tyreek Hill going in the 5th round, 509. I mean, that's almost 2 rounds later, and I get Adams, and I kind of really view them essentially the same.
Yeah, I really do like that pick of Devonte Adams. I think too many people are making too much of his age. The guy can still play. He still catches touchdowns. He's still got a little bit of burst. He is going to get some targets from Matthew Stafford. Like, it's going to happen. You getting him in the 7th round at the tail end of the 7th round, that's a sneaky good pick. That is sneaky, especially if you've built your team with some youth already. I mean, you have Addison, Wilson, Devonta Smith. Why not draft a guy like Devonte Adams as your wide receiver 4? I like that play.
It's almost the same thinking with Kamara, right? I've got my 2 running backs already. I can afford to take the older shot and just give me pure points.
Right. We talked about him earlier. I think this is a guy that's going to eventually make his way up draft boards a little bit. For my build, having 4 wide receivers already and only 1 running back, I would typically look at in this position, obviously a running back. I've got my tight end 1. I might look at quarterback. There have been a few quarterbacks drafted by teams, and there's still quite a few that, you know what, I'm just okay with taking a shot on later on in the draft. So we already talked about this guy, and that's Brian Robinson. I actually have Brian Robinson fairly high in my rankings, probably higher than most analysts do. The guy is a fantastic running back. He is a solid running back, and he scores touchdowns. He gets run. Austin Eckler, I'm not scared of him. He's going to get a little bit of run, but Brian Robinson's a dude. We already talked about it earlier. As my RB2, I'm perfectly satisfied with that play right there.
Yeah, he's my RB23 in my dynasty rankings. So right behind Pacheco. So he was another guy I would have maybe even considered if Kamara wasn't there. But
right.
I like it too. I mean, he's still technically on his rookie contract. I think he's about to enter the final year, so we can't be saying that much longer. But it's a good offense, expected to have a lot of touchdowns. And Daniels doesn't seem like he's a high volume rushing touchdown kind of guy. Like he feels like he's Lamar Jackson, and Lamar doesn't run that much in the red zone. He throws a lot of touchdowns, so that helps Robinson. Where if you're looking from his perspective, Daniels won't necessarily vulture a ton of touchdowns like if he was on the Bills or if he was on the Eagles.
Right. Okay, Brian Robinson was my pick. Bo Nix went at 712, then Kyle Pitts went at 801. Bo Nix is a quarterback that I do actually have a lot of love for this year. I hope he takes a step forward. That would have been a quarterback that I would have been in consideration with at my last play if I didn't need another running back. Right here, I'm looking at the board. I have 4 wide receivers. There are actually 2 wide receivers that I absolutely love, and there's 2 wide receivers that I'm like perfectly happy taking. I'm not going to do that though. I am going to take another running back for my running back 3 here, guys. And this is a running back that lucked out in the draft big time.
Yep.
And that's DeAndre Swift. Is he a great running back? No, he's not like super elite, but he is going to get fantasy points. He went from nothing at the beginning of the year. People were just absolutely pissed off at him, going from the Eagles playing strong, then at the Bears not playing strong at all, to finishing the year as a fairly decent fantasy running back. So here in the 8th round is my running back 3. I'm perfectly happy taking DeAndre Swift when he did not really get a whole lot of competition from the draft.
I can't believe that you just Lee Corso'd us on a NFL show, Matt. What is wrong? Not so fast, my friend.
Not so fast, my friends. I'm happy with that as my RB3. So now I've got, my team is looking a little bit better as far as getting some running backs. Tyrone Tracy off the board at 803, then Cam Scatterbo, his teammate, right after at 804.
Does it feel like Scatterbo should be going ahead of Tracy? Because I definitely have it ranked that way.
I think there is definitely that possibility. There's still a lot of unknowns with this duo, this tandem. Is it going to be a
Singletary's still there too? It could be a three guy, just like the Jags.
I think you hold and wait if you have any of them on your roster currently. You're just like,
yeah. I managed to, I think I get Scatterbo like 207 in a rookie draft, and he's the guy I think has the most touchdown upside. And back to the goal line guides, that's kind of the where I want to chase, because it doesn't seem like there's a safe floor with any of them. So chase the highest upside outcome. So
right,
I find it weird that Tracy's going ahead of Scatterbo.
Yeah. Okay, Kyle, you're back on the clock.
I think this is the spot I want to go quarterback. Not gonna lie, I was also thinking Herbert when I took Kamara. I saw that list. Okay, yeah, Herbert's next up.
Yeah, freaking shame.
There's one guy I have one spot lower in my dynasty rankings, though. It was kind of hemming and hawing over most of the offseason, but seeing how late he goes, I've kind of fallen in with the crowd and, for sure kept Herbert as like the QB, I guess, like 7 in dynasty, but my QB 8 is Kyler Murray.
Ooh,
I love that rushing ability, that safe floor. And again, going with the win now build, there were some younger quarterbacks, guys drafted after Murray, that are still available on the board, but I'm going for those pure points, and I feel like Murray gives me the best chance to of the quarterbacks left to score the most fantasy points.
Yep, I like that. Cortland Sutton off the board at 806, and James Conner 807. Shane, you're back on the clock.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking at the board, and I don't want to do it, but I just have this feeling in my gut that if I don't, I will regret it later. And that is, man,
do it. Just do it.
I don't want to, but I want to. I'm going to take Chris Godwin.
Yeah. That was one of the two receivers that I loved, Shane.
Dude, I literally can't
value range for it, but
oh yeah,
I can't click the button. Like it's clicked on my screen. I wish you guys could see. I can't let go. I refuse to.
Don't break the mouse.
It's
I
a
feel like
mouse.
I do feel like Kyle in drafts. Shane does draft a lot of Chris Godwin in our mock drafts. I mean, Shane, the value there in the 8th round is phenomenal. I mean, who would you rather have, Chris Godwin or Cortland Sutton?
Bro, when he was healthy last year,
Godwin.
he was getting ready to break fantasy football. Like, that's the crazy thing, is that he and Mike Evans were just back and forth popping off. And if you started either of them, you either had 6 points or you had 25 points. And there was like no in between.
Right. Yeah.
As someone who I'm staring down the barrel of a team that looks basically the exact same with now a better wide receiver 3. And I have complete and utter faith that Bake will cook again. If Godwin stays healthy, like why am I trying to fade that?
Yeah.
He went a round and 2 picks after Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, nice, Mason. Mason with a nice duo
I didn't
pick.
even see that.
Hey, Mason's he's still going with that full win now build. I mean, like guys like Kelsey and Cup late, like that's.
Yeah, I mean Kelsey in the Kelsey at the 8-11 at this point. It's like why not draft him? I mean, and then to turn around and pair him with Cooper Kupp, a reliable older receiver, but he's reliable as long as he stays healthy.
Just relying on Sam Darnold. That's the scariest part.
That's the scary part. That's the scary part. Okay. Oh, Mark. Zach Charbonnet went at 903, then Josh Downs at the 904. I am absolutely in love with Josh Downs this year. I'm in love with him. I don't care who's the quarterback. I love him.
Do you think there's better option? Like which, if you're from Downs' perspective, do you think there's one that you'd prefer? Because I've struggled with that, to be honest.
Between who?
Well, Riley Leonard, presumably, no, but between Richardson and Daniel Jones, like, if you really like Josh Downs, who do you want to be the quarterback for this season?
Personally, I think I would still prefer Richardson as the quarterback for Josh Downs, just because they had a fair amount of chemistry. I mean, Michael Pittman became irrelevant when Anthony Richardson was the quarterback, right? Josh Downs was getting to play. Josh Downs and Jonathan Taylor were getting to play. But Daniel Jones, I see, is the same guy. I mean, look at how many targets Malik Neighbors got when Daniel Jones was the starter. At one point, he was just like, I don't care. I'm just going to throw the ball to Malik Neighbors. I don't care where he's at or what, how covered he is. I'm just going to throw it to him. That's the same kind of route tree that Josh Downs runs, in my opinion. And if Downs can stay healthy, I think the sky's the limit for Josh Downs. Truly. I mean, Michael Pittman is still, in my opinion, a good receiver. He's not elite. He's not a great receiver. I'm taking Josh Downs over Michael Pittman all day long.
Yeah, because he's still on the board. So, yeah, you clearly just did that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess I didn't even pay attention that he hadn't been drafted. But for how long did we see, what round was Michael Pittman going in last year versus Josh Downs? Oh my God. I mean, Josh Downs was almost not
third
drafted.
Round, maybe?
Yeah. And you could almost see that in training
too high on Pittman last year.
Yeah, same. I was the same way.
Everybody, and yeah, anybody. Josh Downs was like one of the hot names last year. Speaking of hot names, I'm taking one of the not names from last year, and I'm sticking him on my team. Mark Andrews, come on down and join the squad.
Ooh, okay.
This is mostly because, in my opinion, this is going to be a tell because I'm telling you my plan. taking a middling tight end here and taking someone I don't know, but I think is an incredible dart throw later in dynasty drafts. That draft pick will be coming up as we approach the end of this draft. But that's what that thought process is this is going to be a two tight end 15-round draft. Don't at me. There is a plan here, just so I can show you what I think.
I love it when Shane does this because like it keeps me on my toes when we do these things, and he always says, "Don't come at me," or he's got a sneaky play, and I'm gonna get to see it, Kyle. I'm going to get to see it, and I'm gonna get to snipe him later on when we do our real drafts.
You will, and you did.
Well, something I mentioned on a couple of weeks ago of the Dynasty six-pack, and I guess I'm still having a hard time reconciling it, is Keon Coleman versus Khalil Shakir's draft price.
Right.
Like, it makes Khalil Shakir such a great buy. If you have Keon Coleman, just flat up go get him. And in this case, I get to draft Khalil Shakir after Keon Coleman.
100%.
Maybe I'm giving away something draft-wise. I'm not too keen to draft any more wide receivers. I've got 5. I think I got 5 I can rely on, especially in half PPR. I'm probably going to want to build more running back depth. So if someone's a screaming value at some point, I might take another wide receiver, but I'm probably going to try to avoid it.
Yeah, honestly, I can't figure out heads or tails of Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir because one, I see Khalil as this consistent, chain mover, which is a huge tell in how dependable a dynasty player or a football player is as far as points he produces in fantasy. And Keon I see as this amazing toy that Buffalo has that they refuse to take him off the field. And Khalil is suddenly checking out of the game and Keon is suddenly staying in. And it's hard to assess at this point, looking at the fact that they're, both staying around for quite some time. Khalil just signed a 4-year extension. Like, it's hard to parse which one, I feel more confident in having rostered. So I don't have that conviction, which is why unfortunately, since they're grouped so closely, I just end up passing way too often.
Yeah, I
am there, but if not, why bother?
Well, okay, so I'm looking at the board here in the 9th round. Team 10 took a second quarterback, so might be a telltale sign that these computers are going to start taking 2 quarterbacks. So maybe I ought to just go ahead and take a quarterback here. Again, there's a few on the board that I really like that I'd be okay taking shots at. I'm going to take my shot with Jordan Love. I've got Josh Jacobs on my roster. I might be able to get some tandem dump down, passes to Jacobs for like double points. I'm like Shane, though. I'm not like massively on stacks, but in the 9th round, getting my quarterback 1 in Jordan Love, I'm okay with taking the shot at him. So just lock my quarterback up right now and see how it works out later. Tucker Kraft went at the 9-12. Then Aaron Jones in the 10th round. Aaron Jones is sneakily kind of nice. Like, I know he's older, but it's sneakily kind of nice. That puts me back on the clock for my pick. And I mean, I'm looking at some of these players, boys, and we just talked about it. Should I just roll the dice with my wide receiver 5 with Michael Pittman? I don't think so. Give me Jack Besh, the rookie wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. Give me some more youth as my wide receiver 5. I mean, why not? Why not throw a dart at the board and see what sticks with him in his situation? I know Jacoby Myers is there. Jack Besh, like, if you go back and look at his college tape, I'm fairly high on old Jack Besh. He had a good player profile, in my opinion. So let me go get a rook.
He's Quentin Johnston 2.0, Matt.
Listen.
That's the improved version. The improved version. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying maybe improved. We don't know. There's going to be some bugs.
There will be 100%. Geno Smith, though, throwing the ball, that's a better compliment for his situation. As soon as I see him drop, 6 wide open passes, he might just find his way back to the waiver wire. But I'm going to roll the dice with a rookie wide receiver here. So David Njoku went next, and Jalen McMillan. Kyle, you're back up.
Well, kind of like what you did with Jordan Love. You saw the team take Baker Mayfield after already having a quarterback. I noticed it before my pick. Team went Drake May after they had gone Jaden Daniels earlier in the draft.
Oh yeah, I didn't even. Okay, yep.
And I'm just seeing right now 2 teams just at this turn have gone with their second tight end in Tucker Kraft and David Njoku.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he ranked in Dynasty? I've got this guy so much higher than everyone else. My tight end 6 in Dynasty is still on the board.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like Evan Ingram is such a huge value in the 10th round.
Yeah, that is huge. That's a huge value. Yep, I really do like that pick.
I don't think it's out of the question that he out targets Sutton this year. I think if you had to ask me who I would project more targets, I'd give more to Sutton, I think, but I probably would have them pretty close. So
Yeah.
I see Ingram being a key focal point of this offense.
And it is nice. No one talks about him, Kyle. No one talks. Sean Payton likes tight ends. I mean,
yeah,
he's going to
likes
go
Adam.
Bo
He likes Adam Troutman, though.
True.
Bo Nix seemed to like going into that area of the field, a lot of shorter, quick stuff. And it feels like they didn't really have a good tight. They had Adam Troutman last year. And I think as much as Sean Payton likes him, I think he also realizes that this big Evan Ingram contract that they signed him to, I think is a signal that I can't just rely on Adam Troutman all the time.
Right. Deebo Samuel, then Michael Pittman. There you go, off the board. Shane, while you're contemplating your pick here, I'm going to show a question by Jamie. What do you guys think about this?
Oh, yeah, this one. Well, I have a really good idea. I know what he's going to do, but yeah, 312 and 412 for Roschon Johnson. I mean, a sane person would maybe even accept that. Like, man, I'm getting 2 picks for 1. But of course, what Jamie's going to do is he's going to be so insulted by this offer. He's going to counter back. I'll give you Roschon for your 26 first. That's what's going to happen here. I love Jamie.
Yeah, he comes on to all of our live streams and just chats with us the whole time. I like it.
Listen, I'm gonna do something gross, and I'm gonna log off here and take a shower afterwards.
We're almost done, Shane.
But Stephon Diggs.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
I think.
What number wide receiver is that for you, Kyle or Shane?
This would be
5. Okay. Yeah. Wide receiver 5.
I think as far as having a guy who could be a difference maker, getting him this late in the draft. I know that he's coming off the injury, but it's still Steph Diggs, man. Like, yeah. And he's going to have a quarterback that is going to need to rely on him because have you seen who else is on that roster? It's no one. Mm-hmm. And I think that, I think that there could be something there. And I think that maybe we're shocked and Stephon Diggs is exactly who we think he is.
It very well could be. It very well could be. It's your wide receiver 5. I mean, it's just one of those, another example. Like, why not?
Mark.
Why not? Hey, he took Isaiah Likely right after your Steph Diggs pick, and then Jacoby Myers off the board. Mason doubling up on QB there, going Brock Purdy, then J.J. McCarthy right after. Then Najee Harris at the 11:01. Calvin Ridley, Cam Ward, and then Shane obviously went nuts because Mark took Tajay Spears. I just want to spend a second, Shane, while you contemplate your pick here. Najee Harris at the 11:01, in my opinion, is kind of a steal. I know they just drafted Omarion Hampton, and I know probably by the middle to end of year, Omarion Hampton will probably be more of the workhorse running back in that room. But at the beginning of the year, we don't know what it's going to be. Is it going to be a 50-50? Is it going to lean a little bit Najee 60-40 at the beginning of the year just because the experience versus Omarion trying to just get going? In the 11th round, that is a fantastic pick, in my opinion, especially for like early season play. I like that pick in the 11th round. If he stays, if his ADP stays around there when these dynasty drafts, that's someone that I will be targeting if he goes that late in drafts. Calvin Ridley, then Cam Ward, team 3, is his second quarterback. Shane, you're on the clock.
I am, and I'm only slightly on full tilt because I was totally expecting Tajay Spears to come back to me, and I am really liking what I'm hearing in Tennessee about how they will be utilizing Tajay, and everybody was on him last year. I like to call this the post-hype sleeper play. So I'm sad that Mark yoinked him directly in front of me again. Mark, I'm not going to allow you to pick in front of me anymore after these shenanigans. And I'm going to pull some shenanigans. I'm going to draft J.K. Dobbins here because, again, we were talking about screaming values. Listen, I think this Denver backfield may be a whole lot more gross than people think. And if you're talking about an unproven rookie who we don't know if he can be a 3-down back, not that I'm saying that, but there is something to say about the experience. And I think that JK can be the guy that is dependable in Denver. And I think that really it becomes a 3-headed thing where JK and RJ are the two main guys. And then Jaleel gets thrown in there, and Audric Estime again is just on the sideline watching in street clothes because I don't know why they drafted him, but they hate him. And so I think that's the situation, and I'll throw my hat in the ring with J.K. Dobbins at this point in the draft.
It's funny you say that too, Shane, because when J.K. signed with Denver, some of the RJ Harvey truthers that were looking at this before the whole J.K. Dobbins signing, I bet their hearts sank a little bit. Now, do I think this is going to hurt RJ Harvey a lot? I don't think it's going to hurt him a lot, but I think it is going to turn into a timeshare. Sean Payton is known for that, right? You had, what's his name, paired with Kamara, Pierre
Thomas.
Pierre Thomas with Alvin Kamara. And, he's always had kind of a 2 running back system. Yeah, Mark Ingram. So I still think RJ Harvey is going to get some play, but you're right, Shane. This is a excellent value if he stays there, which I don't think he will. But that's a great pick. It's a great pick. After
so much of the ADP is probably from how many drafts happened when he was still a free agent.
Right. Yeah. So Jonnu Smith went at the 11:06, then Juwan Jennings at the 11:07. Kyle, you're back up.
Well, it's funny because it was about to test me here. I was like, okay, after Shakir, I'm not going to take any more wide receivers. I'm kind of looking through the queue, and man, Calvin Ridley, man, Juwan Jennings, such value. So thank you, Mace, and also I guess thanks Team 7 Auto Draft for taking them. So it totally removes all temptation. I mentioned earlier that a backfield committee where I'm not so sure that Etienne is the clear leader, and so I'm going to take I guess my second rookie on this team. Another rookie running back, like I started with Ashton Jeanty. I'm going to take Bashal Tutin just on the off chance that maybe he's the lead back in Jacksonville, even if it's not this year.
That's right.
And Jamie is correct. Blake Watson is definitely my version of Roschon Johnson. So I'm also sad that the Broncos apparently hate him. And actually, the whole NFL hated him because no one drafted him.
Yeah. Memphis, right? That's Blake Watson, correct?
Yep.
That's the right one I'm thinking of.
Yes.
Great season at Memphis. He was only at Memphis 1 year. I think it was the Old Dominion before. He definitely transferred, but that one season at Memphis was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, didn't he have some record-breaking season in Old Dominion, and then that's how he went to Memphis, and then
so I think both years the production was pretty solid. So
yeah.
Okay, so you took Bashal Tutin, then Michael Pennett's off the board, Ramondre Stevenson off the board at 11:10. I'm on the clock at the 11:11. We've got a couple rounds left here, boys. I'm not going to make I don't think I'm going to make the pick that I originally was going to make, and that was Kyle Williams. I was going to take Kyle Williams here. I like the talent. He's making a splash in mini camp, but I'm looking at the board, guys, and I'm going to take Jaylen Warren here in the 11th round. He's going to play. It's probably going to be a timeshare or maybe slightly lean Jaylen Warren at the beginning of the year. But that's a twitchy back. Mike Tomlin's going to put him in there a fair amount. And in the 11th round, I just feel like I had to take that pick. The next pick, Jalen Noel and Kyle Williams, both off the board. So that's fantastic.
I think talking about Jaylen Warren, I mean, he's competing against a third-round running back in Caleb Johnson, one I think a lot of people really liked. But We're talking about Najee Harris being a value. He's fighting against a first rounder. Even Dobbins has a second rounder to contend with, and Ramondre went just before Warren. In theory, he's got less of a roadblock. There's less of an investment made by the Steelers into his competition than there was.
Right. And look at the touches. Look at the touches Najee Harris left in Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean, the fact that Najee Harris was a first rounder and they were still giving Warren all these touches also proves that he's going to maybe still have a role. So
right. Okay, so I'm back on the clock after those two rookies off the board to team 12, and everyone's snatching up their second quarterbacks. I'm going to go ahead and take mine, and I'm just going to pair BTJ with Trevor Lawrence. Let's just see what happens.
You love some T-Law.
Dude, T-Law and Justin Herbert, I do. I have fallen
Jungle Law.
I have actually fallen a little bit less in love with Trevor Lawrence, but I'm really hoping that he does take that step that we kind of all thought he would at some point. It hasn't happened yet, but now he's got Travis Hunter. He's got BTJ. BTJ's already on my roster. I'm going to pair him up with Trevor Lawrence as my second quarterback and just roll the dice and see what happens.
I think some of these stacks are great when like you don't have to play Trevor Lawrence every week. Like Thomas is probably going to be in your lineup every week, but like with Lawrence, you can really try and center in on those good matchups, really avoid the bad matchups, and maybe avoid the downside of the stacks and like just pick the matchups between him and Love. If it looks like it's a good matchup for Lawrence, okay, not only do you get Lawrence, but you get that stack, so it adds to it, but you also don't feel like you have to go with it every week. So it's a good pairing from that perspective.
Yeah. Okay, Jaden Blue off the board, and then is that Mason Taylor?
I think so, yeah.
Mason Taylor. Okay. Rookie tight end from the Jets off the board at 12:04. Kyle, you're back on the clock.
Well, Jaden Blue just went, and I might take who I think a lot of people are expecting to be the Cowboys' lead back right now, Devonte Williams. I did just take him in an auction draft as well. Was it like last week, I think, or a couple weeks ago, and that also seemed like a nice value. So I'll stick. Apparently, I'm all in on Devonte Williams this year.
big buy guy there.
Yep, big buy guy.
See, you guys are talking about second quarterbacks, and I'm staring at the two that I want, but I don't know when I want to take them.
Dak.
That's who I'm staring at, and I'm like, do I take Dak or do I take the guy who I've been preaching that people should take and take seriously?
Well, you got to think this too. There's only every team that drafts after you, Shane, has two quarterbacks, right?
I know, and that's what I'm thinking. Maybe he gets back to me, which doesn't make my choice any easier, Matt. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But listen, for the sake of sticking with my plan, this is the guy I'm planting a flag on. I am talking about Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah,
you took the right Ferguson. I was confused. Yep. Did you take the right Ferguson?
Correct. I did take the correct Ferguson.
Okay.
Listen, Tyler Higbee is not that guy. He's never been that guy. And
did he get hurt in the playoffs again like the year before? Might not have been as like disastrous of an injury, but it looked bad enough where he didn't finish the playoff game. Who knows what the season looked like?
Yeah. I think it's funny. He is consistently one of those guys that is there and continues to re-sign with the Rams, and he continues to just be hurt and continues to come back, and they just kind of let him be there. I think that nothing against Higbee. I think he's an adequate tight end. But if you want to talk about a quick, twitchy athlete who can separate in space as a huge body, that's Terrence Ferguson. I'm gambling that he is what we all wanted Kyle Pitts to be. That's it. That's my stamp.
I do like that.
He is who we thought Kyle Pitts could be. And if I'm wrong, so what? It was the 12th round. Yep. But if I'm right, hey, what a solid pairing that is.
He was tight end 3 in this class this year. Great guys.
And not only that, but he got technically reached on by draft capital. Like everybody projected him to be a third, fourth, later round pick. And he went in the second round at 46. Like obviously the Rams saw something in him and they were like, we need him on our roster. And of anybody that's going to do that, Sean McVay, for sure will cook something up to let this rookie get into the game plan. Also, if you're looking at the roster, it's Puka, Devonte, Jordan Whittington,
and Ferguson.
Tutu Atwell is the next most
Yeah,
recognizable name in the wide receiver group. Like, he could line up, like Higbee could play, and Ferguson could just be lining up as a wide receiver, as a 6'5", 247-pound wide receiver. That is some stuff that I could totally see McVay doing.
I do like that, Shane. That Ferguson, if some way, shape, or form he would have fallen to me in this round here, I would have easily snatched him up. I think Ferguson is going to be one of those late round fantasy darlings, in my opinion, this year. I really do like Ferguson.
I will stand, and also I just realized that I probably should do something that's sinful here, and I'm kind of tempted to. You know what? I'm going to do it. It's ugly, and I don't care.
The handcuff, yeah.
It's the ugly handcuff too. It's the bride and the divorced bride is what it is.
And I mean, the reason this might be so ugly is Braylon Allen really the handcuff? Because I mean, Isaiah Davis is still there, so it kind of pushes Braylon Allen's value down to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there's no way to correctly select who would be the guy that steps in. I like Isaiah Davis. It annoys me that Jets continue to draft these good running backs, but they already have a good running back. And so, like, at some point, these guys go to their second team and they become a screaming value.
Mm-hmm.
Breece Hall is, nearing the end of his time with the Jets, unless they decide to, re-sign him. Just saying.
Right.
So maybe this is actually 4D chess, guys.
It very well could be. It very well could be. Okay, Kyle, you are on the clock. We are nearing the end of the draft, guys. So stay tuned. We are about finished. So long story short, after Shane took Ferguson, Devon Neal went, then Tank Bigsby, Darnell Mooney, Jake Ferguson, the other Ferguson, Rashid Shaheed, Ray Davis at the 1302, then Rashad White, Bryce Young, 1304, then Shane took Braylon Allen, Jared Goff off the board at 1306, then Dylan Sampson at 1307, which leaves Kyle to round his 13th round out and move to our last round.
Yeah, I think I want to just keep sticking with these backup running backs. Just struggling to decide which one I want. But it's the format. Yeah, because there is kind of a good pass catching back, but half PPR makes that less viable there. I think I want to go with I'm gonna just hedge off of the other win now team Mason, something catastrophic happening, which would be McCaffrey getting hurt, and the main benefit would be Isaac Garendo.
Yep, that's a great pick in the 13th round. That's a fantastic pick. Then there you go. There's your run of some running backs. Blake Corum off the board at 1309, then Jalen Wright off the board at 1310. Was Blake Corum the other one you were thinking about, Kyle?
No, but he was kind of in that next group. Well, yeah, he's part of that big group. I think of like, okay, who are the main backup handcuff running backs, but there's a guy I want as another running back that's still available. So we'll see if he goes.
Let's see if I snipe him from you. Well, there is one that I really do. Oh shoot, Kyle! I kind of have a feeling I know which ones you're talking about. But I am going to take a running back here, and that's Jordan Mason. You never know with Aaron Jones. Jordan Mason is now on the Vikings. So you just never know what the health situation of Aaron Jones is going to be. And Jordan Mason, in my opinion, is a very viable running back. If you look last year, what he did in the absence of Christian McCaffrey, obviously Garendo got some run there towards the end of the year. Jordan Mason was kind of hurt. I think that's a solid backup pick for Aaron Jones. So Justin Fields off the board, then Rico Dowdle off the board. I'm back on the clock in the last round of my draft. This is my last pick. I mean, there's guys out there that are looking juicy, boys. Kate Otten, Elijah Arroyo would be a nice little dart throw at tight end. I already have Rashee Rice, but I'm going to take Hollywood Brown because he is still on Kansas City. He didn't get much play last year. Let's just see what happens with him at the start of the year. So that's going to round out my draft. Kyle, you are back on the clock. Tank Dell off the board.
No, you have one more pick. It's 15th round. You're at the 14th only. You got to scroll down one more, my guy.
I am scrolling down. I don't see a 15th round.
I definitely have 15th round here. So.
Okay. All right. We got one more round. I just cannot see it. So I will just wait. Someone just tell me when I am up.
Yeah, I think a lot was talked about of Dak Prescott in particular, and it's funny how Shane, you've already passed on him twice. And I'm looking at, who would I want as a QB2, and there's only really one other guy that even comes close to Dak from a dynasty perspective. Maybe some younger options, but again, for a good backup with Kyler Murray, I mean, this might almost be pushing like streaming these two quarterbacks and trying to play the matchup. So yeah, I'm gonna go Dak Prescott here.
Yeah, unfortunately, both Fields and Dak went off the board, and those were the two that I was arguing in my brain about. And so I was like, hey, maybe I'll just swing it and see which one falls to me. And unfortunately, neither got to me.
I will say there's one obvious choice, and you might be able to get him in the next round. If you really
I am looking at a couple of interesting options. We'll put it in the nicest way possible, including Tom Brady, who's on the list still for some reason, sleeper. What are we doing?
Is Chad Kelly still on there too?
I don't know. I'll have to go.
Seen a bunch of CFL players still on the list. Like, I know this guy's playing in the CFL right now. Is he on here?
He hasn't been in the league for a long time. I'm just a little hesitant about letting this swing again and me ending up with no quarterbacks. So I will just go ahead and pull the trigger. But I'm not going to pull the trigger on the one that I think you guys think I'm going to draft. 4D chess again. So I'm going to go with the one and only Sam Darnold.
Okay.
Because swing big in this situation. I've already waited. It's been a long drop, and the two guys that I wanted are no longer available. Swing big here. If he's good.
I almost thought they had the same bye week, but no, it's 5 and 6. So you're good.
Yeah. I did check that. I was looking. That was the tiebreaker. I was like, maybe. Okay.
All right. So Mark is on the clock here. We have one round left, boys and girls. Yeah, this draft is interesting. It's interesting how it's playing out. What do you guys think of your own personal teams? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you not like it?
I will say there's one pick I kind of regret making. I still think it's a good pick, but I think I would have rather gone a different position. Maybe I wouldn't be hammering RB depth as much these last couple picks.
Which pick was that?
Khalil Shakir. I had Shakir also in the queue. The only other players were Tony Pollard and Aaron Jones. So I thought, could I get one? And then, no, I couldn't. But I mean, that enabled me to get Evan Ingram there. But I still think, man, would it have been better if I went Tony Pollard instead of Khalil Shakir or Aaron Jones there? And then maybe one of those picks, I don't take Tootin or Williams and I get maybe Darnell Mooney. I think the team build would be the same, but
replacing.
I go riskier for that fifth wide receiver and get maybe more established running back instead of Devonte. That's a pretty risky situation. I think with Jones and Pollard, there's a lot of stability, security there. So if there's any pick I regret making, it's probably that one.
Gotcha.
But now team.
I was just pessimistic. I was just looking at Tyler's show and thinking about how much I wanted to draft Rashee Shaheed earlier. and just being like, I can't bring myself to just set him on my bench and know that I will never click his name for a whole year in this situation. Like, it's just not, it's not something I can do with a player that is as, I don't know, it makes all of his money off his explosivity. Like, I think that this is just a rough situation if you're a Rashee Shaheed owner.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, the AC coming off the ACL tear, I think, is huge. And yeah, you're not getting an ideal quarterback situation. Now, Mace might also have the Cowboys starter in Miles Sanders. I think that's a great value pick in the last round.
Yeah, that is. I kind of forgot that he was the running back with Dallas. Okay, so to round out the fourth round, after Shane took Sam Darnold, Rashad Bateman went at 1409 by Mark, and then Pat Fryermuth. Keyshawn, how do you say his name? Keyshawn Boutier.
Keyshawn T.A. Boutier is also a very cool name. You can just go with that.
I mean, it's worth just having on your roster.
That's better than his actual name. Good job.
And then Christian Kirk at 1412, which no one is talking about, but you never know what's going to happen over there in Houston with Tank Dell. Obviously probably not playing this year, but his career might just be over. So you never know what's going to happen with old Christian Kirk. Adonai Mitchell at 1501, then Mason, like Kyle said, Miles Sanders, then Jalen Brooks off the board at 1503, Jerome Ford at 1504. We are in the last round here, boys. I see it now. Shane, you are on the clock.
Yeah, I know. And I'm trying to convince myself not to do something dumb.
Good luck.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at this, and there is a player on this list that makes me want to slam the button. And I don't know if it makes any sense at all, aside from in my dinosaur brain. And that is Keaton Mitchell. That's
okay.
The long-forgotten backup. Listen, Justice Hill is the pass catching back, but Keaton's the guy they drafted specifically to like be that guy and be explosive. And then they just were like, oh, hey, they're going to let us have Derrick Henry. Cool. Like that was before Derrick Henry. And it's now he's just kind of an afterthought. I think that if anything, God forbid, were to happen to Derrick Henry, Mitchell's the one that's going to get the opportunity first.
Yeah, Hill's role probably doesn't change much. He's got a certain number of snaps that he's just going to go out there
right,
and play regardless of Henry's in the game or not. I mean, part of it last year was Mitchell. Well, not even last year. At the end of 2023, Mitchell had a pretty significant injury, and so coming back from that, he wasn't necessarily going to look the best. So maybe having Derrick Henry absorb all those carries last year was actually the best for Mitchell long term.
Yeah, and the year after the injury. That's the play.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, always buy after the injury dip in value. So who thought they guessed my running back that I was considering in 13? Because he is still there. I am thinking of taking him.
Oh, I thought you were either going with Tyler Algier or my pick of Jordan Mason. I thought those were the two running backs. Like
Mason was the guy I was kind of considering with the Grando, but when I was talking about pass catching guy, I think I'll pass here.
True.
It's Austin Eckler.
Oh yeah.
It's actually similar to the Kamara thinking I made how many rounds ago, but there's some touchdown upside. There might be some pass catching. It's a half PPR, so it's not great for that, but I'll take a running back body. And if something ever happens to Robinson, like Eckler's probably going to play a ton of snap. It's maybe a little bit like Justice Hill where he doesn't get all the work. There might be a Keaton Mitchell on Washington to take carries, but I'll take the upside shot on Eckler.
Yeah, I do like that.
I'm trying to think of anybody fun that would be that person on Washington, and I mean,
trying to think, did they have Jeremy McNichols last year as kind of that third guy?
He had the insane run. Jeremy McNichols had the crazy run last year, where he became fantasy relevant. Everyone was like, "What is going on?" Am I crazy for saying that? No. He had like a 2-game stretch. 19 points, 10 points.
Yeah, he had a couple games where I think Robinson got hurt, and he was the goal line guy. Like, he did get those touchdowns. And now that I'm saying that, maybe Eckler wasn't a great pick.
Yeah, 8 carries, 68 yards, 2 tutties. 7 carries, 44 yards, 1 tutty. That was the time frame where he kind of popped off. So,
well,
interesting.
Being how this is obviously now the last pick. There's some players that, like, if your drafts are only 15 rounds, and even in this case scenario, like, why not just throw your dart at the board and see what sticks? I'm gonna take Nick Chubb. Give me Nick Chubb.
Yo, Jalen Royals got drafted
in the 15th round. I mean, you never know. You never know what's going to transpire there. Okay, guys, why don't you say your teams, your starters, and your roster, just to recap a little bit, and then we are going to sign off of here. So, Shane, why don't you go first?
For sure. So I'm just going to go quarterback, running back, wide receiver.
Yeah.
So I have Justin Herbert at QB, Breece Hall as RB1, Kenneth Walker as RB2, CeeDee the Lamb as wide receiver 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. wide receiver 2, Scary Terry wide receiver 3, Mark Andrews as my tight end, Isiah Pacheco and Chris Godwin as the flexes when they want to be, and Stephon Diggs, J.K. Dobbins, Terrence the Ferguson, the one and only Ferguson, Braylon Allen, Sam Darnold, and Keaton Mitchell on the bench. The last 3 probably will never see the light of day unless they have to.
Kyle, who you got?
So my starting QB is Kyler Murray. Got my first 2 picks, the running back duo of Ashton, Jeanty, and Devon, Achane. Got a young wide receiver trio of Garrett Wilson, Devonte Smith, Jordan Addison. Super good value on Evan Ingram in the 10th round as my only tight end on the roster. And in the flex spot, I got 2 old guys, Alvin Kamara and Devonte Adams. So I hope they're still flexible. Bench options, Dak Prescott, Khalil Shakir, then just a bunch of backup running backs. Or maybe even a starter in Javonte Williams. Who knows?
You never know. That could be.
And Isaac Grendo. He could be a starter too.
Well, I mean, again, Bashal Tutin might be the lead back with the Jags. Even if it's not this year, last season of Etienne on the Jags, most likely with this 5th-year option season. So, they could easily just invest in a different running back if it's not Tutin, but who knows? Maybe he's the lead back this year.
I'm a huge fan of Tutin. You guys heard my rant about how sad I am that Jacksonville did that to us. How dare they? It's not Shaka Khan. What's it? It's
Shad Khan is the owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
They got a new GM, I think. So maybe that's the guy you're really mad at.
Right. Okay, and then my roster is Jordan Love is my QB1. I have Josh Jacobs and Brian Robinson as my RB1 and RB2. I have Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas Jr., and Rashee Rice as my 3 wideouts. George Kittle as my one and only tight end. DK Metcalf and DeAndre Swift as are in my 2 flex spots right now. And then on my bench, Trevor Lawrence, Jack Besh, Jalen Warden, Jordan Mason, Hollywood Brown, and good old Nick Chubb. Okay, guys, that is going to conclude the episode. That's going to conclude our mock draft episode. I know that we will probably do 1 or 2 more of these before the season starts, maybe more. Hoping to have some more guests on with us, or even the guys that are currently on here. Kyle, the invitation is extended your way whenever we do another draft. It's always good and fun to collaborate with guys that you either one have never talked to, have never interacted with, or even just some repeat guys. It's always fun to kind of collaborate and do these little drafts, not only to have fun on our end, but to kind of give you guys an analysis of what we think during these drafts. So it's always good to kind of fill those computer spots. But remember to head on over to fantasy6pack.net, use promo code Parlay FF to get 50% off your all access membership, and the cheat sheets are out currently. So remember to go and do that. Kyle, all his stuff is over there as well. Then head over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts to check out the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast. Please subscribe, leave 5-star review, guys. It really does help out the show. Fantasy Six Pack YouTube. That's where you can see not only us, but Kyle and his show live when we go on air, or even just the recordings. We put them up here after we are done if you guys want to see the video side of things. Before we sign off, Kyle, why don't you give a last plug on where everyone can find you?
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at Senra Says. I write articles for Fantasy Six Pack, including the recent draft guide articles. You've probably been seeing them. I don't want to say infesting because it makes it sound negative, but man, there's been a lot. We do one for each team. So the month of June, it's been just Joe's been working hard to release all these draft guides. I was responsible for the AFC South, Texans, Colts articles, Jags articles are out. I think the Titans are coming soon. Do the goal line guides in season. Look for other dynasty or redraft contributions as well to the Fantasy Six Pack website. And yeah, as mentioned, I've got the Dynasty Six Pack show where we talk Dynasty fantasy football every Wednesday night at Eastern. And myself, the biggest Roshan Johnson truther of all in Jamie Perogue, and the biggest half PPR stan ever in Rahul Nataraj. I'm co-host and love being part of Fantasy Six Pack.
Love it. Shane, that being said, bud, you know what to do.
Yeah, if you could leave 5 stars, leave 5 stars. But you know what? The gift that keeps giving, hitting the thumbs up and sharing with a friend, because you want them to think that they're going to steal your draft strategy, but you're really going to use something else.
And that being said, we love you all to the moon and back. Until next episode, peace out.